So I'm Connor, and today this is the H2x webinar for heat loss, and hopefully by the end of today we should have a nice heat loss and have all the tools you require to develop one. So as you can see, I'm in a live project at the moment, and the first thing you would want to ensure is that you are in floor plan mode, and going on from there I would go into my settings and confirm the settings. So please ensure you have your heat loss workflow selected. You can also add some information about your project if you wish, and you can also import all the settings that we are about to go through. This can save you time in the long run. If you do have a project with all this set up, you won't have to go through the settings again if you just click import. But for now, we will go through the settings. So the first place would be your heat load settings. And as you can see, and as you might have watched me do before, we have the external winter temperature, which you could, if you work to a set value, such as -5, you can enter this here. However, if you do hit refresh, it will pull weather station information from your project address. Also, you can increase the percentile if you would like to go to the worst day on record from that weather station. But once you are happy with your external winter temperature, you can carry on. So the ground temperature is exactly what it says on the tin. Are people still having audio issues? I can see someone in the chat. Carried on. The ground temperature is exactly what it says on the tin. So set that to the temperature of the ground that you would like to work with. Moving on, we have the spare capacity, which is essentially adding on a percentage to your heat loss results if you would like to be a little bit on the conservative side. The next setting for adjacent winter temperature, this is where we get into our design. We can set some party walls, and then the party walls will work to that temperature from the adjacent property. So again, feel free to increase or decrease this as you wish. Thermal bridging coefficient. So again, it's a percentage to add on to our results that allow for building materials such as metal studs and other things that will cause extra heat transfer. The heating air change rate standard, so this will determine the air changes which will relate to your heat loss as well as the desired internal temperatures of rooms. For this example, I will be going through a new build, so I'm going to choose MCS post 2006, but feel free to go to building regs or any other age of house that you prefer. The rooms below transparency. This will show, once we start to develop our floor plan and move up a level, we will get an outline of the rooms below. 30% seems to be a very good value to have. However, if you don't want to see these outlines, please change this to 0 at this stage. If we move over into the materials on the top, this is where we can set some default materials for things such as walls, doors, and roofs. Feel free to go through the list and pick a relevant U value. However, if the U value or material you are looking for isn't there, you can add a custom material, call it whatever you like, assign it to a part of the property and give it a U value. We can also change the different colours. I always recommend to work with bright colours for your external and internal walls, so that you can visibly see when an internal wall has been automatically picked up. These can be changed at the export stage to allow however you would like them to come out on the PDF, but whilst doing the design, I do always recommend to choose some bright colours. So I'm just going to go for red and green for this example. Moving down this page, we have some default dimensions, such as window heights, room heights, and door heights. Please set these to the majority case. Again, we can change all of this information on a case-by-case basis, but please do insert the majority case for your property. Just to point out, the internal, external, and party wall widths won't affect the calculations. They are just a visual representation. If you do make these too large, it can start to look a bit messy, so we do recommend to leave these at low values and potentially edit on a case-by-case basis as you go on. The last important tab would be your energy usage. where you will see your heating degree days, which will directly affect your performance costs. So again, you can set whatever value you like here. However, you can pull this information from the weather station as you can with the winter temperatures. The energy performance certificate and the existing heating system settings, these are for your MCS documentation, and we'll just fill out some information on that. But again, for your performance cost, please enter electricity cost per kilowatt hour. If we now move back up into methods, you will see the heating air change is duplicated here. But for heat losses, the only other one that may be relevant is your ventilation heat loss recovered due to MVHR. So you could set here a efficiency rating of an MVHR unit, and this will lower the heat losses for the whole property. Once you are happy with all your settings, please go back to the project. And this is when we can really get into the building up of the heat loss. So the first step I would recommend is to add your levels on the left side here. So by default, we start with a ground level. I'm just going to add one level above for this example. Moving on, we have the option for a magic plan. So if you're doing a retrofit, you can link with the magic plan app and pull over a full floor plan. But for today, I will be doing a new build from a PDF. So I'm going to select that here, and I'm then going to upload some PDFs. And as you can see, I've got a couple ready. So I'm just going to get these two, click open. And as my PDFs have the sheet size and scale wrote very clearly, it has automatically picked up. But just to make a double check, if I click on this PDF, I can zoom in and just confirm that, which is true for both of them. Now, they both come in as mapped to the ground. I'm just going to change this one to level 1. And once I'm happy, I'll hit done. And as you can see, my PDF has come in. And if I flick between them two floors, you will see they are nicely aligned. If by any chance your PDFs weren't aligned, you can unlock the PDF here, and then you can click and drag to manipulate it. And you could then use the crosshairs to line the PDFs up to a common point. For this example, I'm just going to put that back where it was, as mine are nicely aligned. You can also, while it's unlocked, crop the PDF if you wanted to remove some information that wasn't relevant. And once you're happy with everything, lock that PDF back in again. Moving on now to get into the actual build-up of the heat loss, I'm going to open my heat load tool. And you can see we have a host of options and features we can add, like rooms, doors, and windows. If I start with a room, I'm going to scroll down the list. I'm going to grab this utility room, and I'm just going to click on the first corner point of this utility, pull it across to the next point, click again, and just repeat that process across the room. Once you are happy, you can hit escape, or you can select another room and just carry on. But just to show you another feature of h2x, if I was to grab a living room and I had written information, I could click on my first point, pull across, type 5 on my keyboard, hit enter. That will lock in 5 meters, and I could repeat that process around the room. So if I pull down again, tap 4, hit enter, I've now got a perfect 4x4, 5x4 room. But for this process, I will just be using the click method. So as you can see from the utility room, at the moment, all walls are being classed as external. If I go back into my list, I'm going to get the kitchen, and I'm going to repeat the steps. I'm going to click on this corner, click up, and just click around and follow that. And as you can see, automatically, the internal wall has been picked up, and it is very visible in this example. If you do need to define any points, you can hover over vertex points and move them manually. I do think I missed a little bit of a click there. And I'm just going to repeat this process around this property to show you how fast it can be. We do always recommend to leave the most complex shape of room till last. So for example, in this example, it would be the hallway. And I'm just going to You will notice at this point a couple of blue lines have formed, which means as soon as I do this next click, the study will autofill. But again, if you needed to refine, you can hover over and grab any vertex point at any one time. If I just finish this off with this shower. So again, that one auto-filled. And when we get to the hall, we can just draw across the last two open points, and this will fill in the whole shape for us. So that's how quick it is to build up a floor plan. Normally I am a little bit quicker, just trying to slow it down a little bit today. As you will see, we do have a whole host of building results at the bottom, as well as results in the middle of the room. For a heat loss, I would probably want to get rid of the coolant supplied, as well as the heat gain. So for this, we can go into our results view and start to remove anything we don't find necessary for today. We could also remove the room name and maybe the temperature or height, but I will be leaving the volume in just to show you when it comes to the vaulted ceilings later. I'll also remove my ventilation air changes, so I am just left with a heat loss, a heat supplied and a volume of each room. Moving on, I'm going to start to add some doors. So we do have the option for single or bifolding. If I just grab a single, drop that on the wall there, and I can repeat this process across the project, placing doors wherever is required. And I could do the same thing for a bifold door. With all of the things that we've done up to now, we could select any room at any time, modify a whole host of settings. So if you did want to change one room's height in particular, you can change that here, as well as the materials. You can add chimneys, and you can also change your air changes. And you can also add custom names to the room should you wish. And the same goes for the walls. We can click on any wall at any time, change the thickness, the U value, and also the type of wall. So say for example, if this was a semi-detached property and this was our party wall here, I could select that wall. If you notice, for now, we have a heat loss of 1.65. I'm going to change this to a party wall, and the heat loss drops slightly. I'll do the same thing for this wall. The colour has also changed based off my settings. And we could also change the material of these walls. So say for example, if you were adding an extension with new building regs, you could add that room on and then change its materials to replicate a new build extension. And the same for the doors. If we click on any door, we can change a whole host of options. In particular, this bifold door is a little bit wider, so I'm just going to change the length to 3 meters. And I can click and drag to reposition that bifold as needed. For the windows, we can select a normal or Velux window. So for this ground floor, we're just going to put normal windows in. For these, you click on the start point, pull it across, and click on the end point. Again, the windows can be selected, have a whole host of options changed. If you want to be a bit more specific with the length, if you'd overshot the length a little bit, you could change that there. As you can see, I've got a nice heat loss starting to build up. Every time I add a new window or door, you should see the values increase. Basically everything we want to see on a project. If I move up to level 1 now, you can see the rooms below transparency that we had set at 30% has given us a nice outline of every room, which can allow for lining up rooms above or vaulted ceilings. If you did need to add a vaulted ceiling, so Just for reference, h2x, if you add a property with an insulated loft, h2x will automatically default to a flat roof. You just need to make sure your roof material is set to the U value of your loft insulation. But if you did need to add a vaulted ceiling, for example, in a bungalow or a village hall, you could do this with the vaulted ceiling option on the level above. But just for reference, we have about a 46 meter cubed area volume, as well as a 0.6 kilowatt heat loss. If I was to move up a level, grab a vaulted ceiling, and you draw these in the exact same manner you would draw rooms. I'm just going to do it over this little section for now. We can then select and choose our roof type. So we do have a selection such as sheds, gables, hex, and hip, amongst others. For this example, I will just add a gable roof. I'm going to make that 2.5 meters high, and I'm just going to rotate it so the center line goes that way. And if I go back down now, you will see the volume has increased as well as the heat losses of this room, which is exactly what you would expect. As well, as mentioned before, we have the option for Velux windows. So again, if I was to add one to this part of the roof, the heat loss has again increased due to that Velux. And again, we could select that Velux at any time and change the length, the width, or the material. Another point to mention would be, so if we look at the heat loss of this kitchen dining area now, it's at 1.78. If I was to go above again and draw another room, a warmer room, such as a bedroom, so if I just find, I'll go for bed sitting as it's 21. If I just draw that across this area, the heat loss of the room below has decreased, which is what we would expect to see. Once you are happy with the whole design, so feel free to build up a design with as many rooms, as many different types of roof as you would like. We can do that. As I mentioned before, however, sorry, just taking a little step back, you can add chimneys. So again, this will increase the heat loss. So we have 0.89 kilowatts for now. If I go without float restrictor, it shoots up significantly in that room. Once you are happy and you've got the house modelled to your standard and layout, we can jump into our results view. And here we can basically display as much or as little information as you would like. If you would like to see specific heat losses through walls, we can assign that, and you will see these values begin to pop up on the design, and the same for the doors and windows. You can add as much or as little information as you would like to each feature, and you can also add all this information to the middle of the rooms. As you can see, we start to build it up on a room by room basis too. So feel free to add as much or as little information as you would like if you would like to show this on a PDF export, or if you would like to share this link with someone. Once you're happy with everything again, we can jump into the exports. So for the heat loss, you may want to print this design off as a PDF and give it to someone as a visual representation, but the most important one will be your heat load report. So if I jump into export now, as we haven't done a heating design, I will remove the heat emitters as well as the domestic hot water. I'm going to combine this report into one document, and I'm going to leave it as a Word document so it is editable if needs be. Once I click export, they'll all come out as a heat load report. And I'm just going to open that on a separate screen and pull it across for you guys to see. And as you can see, we get a summary of our results. It will show us the worst performing room based on watts per meter cubed. So you could give recommendations. watts per meter squared even, sorry. And also a full breakdown of the room dimensions, so exactly how we have modelled our design, the features of each room, as well as the different materials used. But the most important ones will be your room by room heat loss calculations, where you can see the total heat loss, the watts per meter squared, as well as the annual energy required to heat those rooms to your desired temperatures. And following on, we would get, again, some more information that you will definitely find useful. If I was to just go back and show some more advanced examples. So for more complicated roofs and vaulted ceilings, I do have an example ready for you guys. So in h2x, there isn't one roof shape for that, as it is made up of multiple roofs. The way I find best to do this is by using multiple shed roofs. So a shed roof is just essentially a slope. So for this example, I've modelled a shed roof here with the directional arrow points up the slope. So it's sloping up towards how I want it. And I've done the same thing with this shape here, with this shape here. However, we can't see the information on this one, but if we do hover over, you will get the directional arrow as well as all the other information you may need. So for a roof as complicated as this, it is best to use multiple shed roofs. So at this point, is there any questions?
Did you do the minimize stuff? Maybe just show a little bit more. Just black out the way. It's a little bit of what you do. You don't have to import it, just show you.
As mentioned at the start, for retrofits, we do have this Magic Plan integration, which is a separate app to h2x. But if I was to select this, you can enter an API key and a customer ID, and it will bring up all your floor plans that you have filmed on your mobile phone. There are videos on our YouTube channel of how this works more in depth. So if you do want to explore this a little bit more, our YouTube channel definitely is the place to go for this. We are running a heating design webinar tomorrow, and the webinars will become a more frequent thing in the new year. And hopefully I'll get a little bit better at them, as this is my first one. So hopefully I haven't been too bad for you guys today, and hopefully I haven't missed anything out that I wanted to mention. Tomorrow's heating webinar will start at 4 PM UK time, and going forward in the new year, they will be becoming a regular thing. This one will be recorded and made available on our YouTube channel for reference, as I think I did mention at the start. But also, if you have any questions or queries or would like some more training information, we have this help hub down in the bottom. So as I am currently in the floor plan mode, it is giving some recommendations on that. If I jump over into results mode, it gives some recommendations, content for that. And I can also search all of our content or ask our AI chatbot a question. And if the AI chatbot does not have the answer you require, you will be connected to our support team. And this is definitely the quickest way to get a response from our support team. So thanks everyone for coming, and hopefully see all you guys tomorrow for the heating design webinar. Thank you and have a nice day.